What's up, everybody? I'm Finn McKenty. This is the Punk Rock MBA. Today I wanted to talk about a tour that I saw the other day. Very excited about this tour. It is Ghostemane, Wavy Jones, Vane, Bitter End, City Morgue, and a couple other bands that I don't remember, can't read their logo. I don't know who they are. Just to catch you guys up really quick, for anybody who may not be familiar with all these artists, Ghostemane and Wavy Jones are SoundCloud artists, like white guys with a bunch of tattoos that wear like Hatebreed and Dark Throne shirts and stuff like that. So they are a perfect example of what I've been talking about in some of my videos about how people that maybe would have been like in metalcore or deathcore or metal bands or whatever in the past are now doing rap. In fact, Ghostemane actually used to be in a hardcore band called Nemesis from Florida. They're actually pretty good. I don't know about Wavy Jones, but I would guess he was probably in a band too. Either way, these two guys are a perfect example of the thing I've been talking about, where people who may have started bands before are now rapping instead. But even though these guys do rap, clearly they have like heavy duty roots in like metal, hardcore, whatever culture. And then lastly, Vane and Bitter End are what I would call hypecore, like these bands that are kind of at the bleeding edge of what's happening in hardcore, metalcore, whatever. So with all of that being said, there's a few things that I think are very interesting about this tour from like a cultural perspective, but also like kind of a marketing perspective. So number one, from a cultural perspective, this again is exactly what I've been talking about, of this idea of crossover culture, of how metal and hardcore and rap and streetwear and all this stuff and skateboarding are kind of this one thing. This tour is exactly that, like as a tour. I'm really interested to see what the crowds are like. Like I'm curious if it's two separate crowds, like if there's the Vane and Bitter End crowd and then there's like the Ghostemane, Wavy Jones, City Morgue crowd, and if it's like, you know, the middle school dances where there's the girls over here and there's the guys over here and everyone just stands against the wall like. So it could be like that, or it could be that there's enough people now who are into like all these artists, people like me and probably a lot of you guys watching this, that like Vane and Bitter End and Ghostemane and Wavy Jones, and maybe there's enough people that the whole crowd is going to be into everybody on the bill. I don't know. So I'm definitely going to go when they come through Seattle here. I'm going to try to interview Ghostemane. We'll see if I can pull it off. Number two interesting thing is this is the second tour in a year or less where Ghostemane has gone out with a hypecore band. He was out with Code Orange for a little bit before, so there's probably a few things going on here. First of all, like I'm sure he just likes these bands and he's stoked to like be on tour with them, right? But here is what I am wondering. Tell me what you guys think in the comments. I want to know if this is a brilliant scheme on his part. If you remember back in like the MySpace days, this is something I noticed. There were a lot of bands that would have all this internet hype that translated into nothing in real life. Like one example of this is I saw My Children, My Bride in like 2008 or something like that. They had like a video that at the time was like really popular, the one with Mitchell Davis or whatever his name was, that was like super hype online, but when I saw them there were like 20 kids there. Same thing with Millionaires, who were obviously huge on MySpace, right? I saw them at Warped Tour and they were off on the fucking little stage sponsored by some clothing company that existed for like 2 seconds or whatever, and again they had like 30 kids there. Even though they had like this massive following online, it did not translate into anything in real life. And Ghostemane has crazy huge internet hype. Like his YouTube channel I think has 58 million views right now. He has like 750,000 followers on Instagram. All of his videos get millions of views. He has a ton of internet hype. Wavy Jones is not that big, but he's got a good amount of internet hype too. However, I think they're smart guys and they know that that may not necessarily translate into people showing up IRL. So I bet you that part of the reason why they're going out with these hardcore bands is because they know that people will consistently show up to see those bands, because shows and touring are a part of hardcore culture, which is not true of hip-hop culture. So like for example, the venue they're playing here in Seattle I think is maybe a 400 cap room or something, might even be smaller than that. So even though Ghostemane is like way bigger in terms of online hype as compared to say Converge or Periphery, Converge and Periphery play bigger venues than he does. As another example of this, I noticed that Waka Flocka Flame played the same venue as Converge, and Waka is like mainstream famous, right? His songs are on the radio and stuff. So even though Converge is like a tiny little underground hardcore band, because shows are a part of hardcore culture, they can play disproportionately large venues. So Ghostemane is a smart dude. My guess is that he's thinking about this the same way I would, which is to say I have a lot of internet hype, but that doesn't mean that these kids that watch my shit 700 times in a row on YouTube are actually going to come to the show, because of that weird thing of internet culture not necessarily translating into real life culture. So I don't know if that's how he's thinking about it, but it might be something for you to think about. Remember that internet hype and popularity story does not necessarily translate into dollars. Lastly, if I am right, and this is the future of heavy music, which I think it is, I think that you are gonna see there's gonna be this whole scene of essentially like rappers with roots in metal that are gonna play with metal and hardcore bands, Post Malone and Power Trip. You know, I've talked about this stuff. I think there's gonna be a whole scene of that. Credit to all of you guys who pointed this out in the comments of my other video. You were right, made me think about this. I think that the hypecore, like gothic cloud rap thing, I think that's kind of the next cool thing that's gonna happen in like underground music culture. My question is how the metal establishment will react to this. They hate everything new, right? So I'm curious if they even are aware that this is happening, and if they are they going to react positively to it, or are they gonna hate on it like they usually do? My guess is they're going to hate on it, but you know what, guys? I'm a dreamer. I have a dream that someday some metal blog somewhere will actually like something new. I don't know. I'm probably just kidding myself. All right, guys, I want to know what you think. What do you think about this tour? Is this the next kind of frontier for underground weird music culture? Is the fact that Ghostemane is touring with all these like hardcore bands, is that his way of connecting the dots between internet hype and real life? And lastly, what do you think the metal establishment will make of this? I want to know in the comments. All right, my friends, that's it for now. But if you thought this video was interesting or entertaining or informative or anything like that, I would love it if you would subscribe to this channel. If you're already subscribed, or for some bizarre reason you do not want to subscribe, at least like the video, leave a comment, share it with a friend. Anything that you can do to help spread the word would be very much appreciated. And with that, I'm going to sign off for now, but I will see you next time.